Welcome to Heart Echo Channel, where every story leaves an echo in your heart. 10-year-old Eleanor Hayes lived in a world of forgotten things. Her home was a weathered trailer at the edge of a riverside salvage yard, a sprawling landscape of twisted metal and abandoned cars. While others saw junk, Eleanor saw a playground for her imagination, castles, spaceships, and secret worlds waiting to be discovered. She was a small girl with tangled brown hair and clothes that were clean but worn, hand-me-downs from the local church. On the left side of her face, from her temple to her jaw, was a deep port wine birthmark. She had learned to live with the stares, but they never truly stopped hurting. One sunny afternoon, Eleanor's curiosity led her to a newly arrived Cara sleek black sedan that looked utterly out of place. As she circled it, she heard something, a muffled thump. She froze, her heart pounding. The sound came again, louder this time, more desperate. It was coming from the trunk. Looking around, she saw the yard was empty. Her grandmother, Ruth, was inside the office, and the owner, Mr. Donovan, was in town. She was alone. "Hello," she called softly. The thumping grew frantic, and a muffled voice cried out. The trunk was locked. Her hands shaking, Eleanor spotted a heavy crowbar nearby. It was almost too much for her small arms, but she dragged it over. "I'm going to open it," she whispered. "Hold on." After several painful tries, the trunk popped open with a groan. Inside was a man, bound, gagged, bruised, and bleeding. His expensive suit was torn and filthy. His eyes widened when he saw her. Eleanor carefully peeled the duct tape from his mouth. He gasped for air. "Thank God. Please, untie me." She worked patiently at the knots until his hands were free, and together they untangled the rest. The man climbed out, wincing, and leaned against the car. Then he looked at her face, not with shock or fear, but with something else. Recognition. Eleanor instinctively touched her birthmark. "Are you okay, mister?" she asked. "Should I get my grandma?" Tears welled in his eyes as he knelt to her level. "What's your name?" he asked, his voice trembling. "Eleanor Hayes." His voice broke. "I'm William Hartley." He stared at her birthmark. "How old are you?" 10. "I'll be 11 in February." He wiped his eyes, struggling to speak. "Eleanor, what's your mother's name?" "Caroline Hayes," she said. "She died in a car accident." William pulled a photo from his wallet. Eleanor's breath caught. The woman in the picture looked just like her. Same smile, same eyes, same birthmark. "That was my daughter," William whispered. "Caroline Hartley." The truth began to unfold. Caroline had run away years ago after a terrible fight over her future. By the time William finally searched for her, it was too late. She had a child, and that child was Eleanor. "You're my grandfather?" Eleanor asked quietly. William nodded through his tears. "And you saved my life." He explained how he'd been kidnapped by business rivals and left to die, and how fate had brought Eleanor to him at that exact moment. When they reached the office, Grandma Ruth froze, recognizing the man from long ago. The past and present collided. Tears were shed, truths were spoken, and forgiveness began to bloom. DNA tests soon confirmed what their hearts already knew. William didn't try to take Eleanor away. Instead, he simply showed up. For school plays, for ordinary Tuesdays, for quiet conversations. He brought photo albums of her mother, telling stories he should have told years earlier. When Eleanor said she loved to draw, William didn't hesitate. "Then draw. Follow your passion." I learned too late that dreams are not impractical, they're essential. Years passed. Eleanor grew stronger, confident, and proud of the birthmark she once hid. She started an art program for children with visible differences. William funded it, but Eleanor led it. On her 18th birthday, he gave her her mother's old paintings, self-portraits, where the birthmark was transformed into something beautiful. She learned to love herself, Eleanor whispered. Yes, William said. And now I get to tell you what I never told her. You are beautiful. At her art school graduation, Eleanor looked into the crowd and saw her grandmother and grandfather sitting side by side. A family built not from perfection, but from second chances. In her valedictorian speech, she said, "Sometimes the worst moments of our lives lead to the best ones. Sometimes salvation comes from unexpected places. And sometimes the face we're afraid to show the world is exactly what brings us home." Thank you for listening to this story on Heart Echo Channel. If it touched your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, because every story deserves to be felt.